John, first of all, just tell us a little bit about the week that's been. It's been 2 pretty impressive wins for you. That must give you a lot of confidence, but also give you a much more better idea of the capabilities of the team you've put together, particularly at this stage of the season now.
I think we've seen a little bit of a change. I think with circumstances, the start of the season, everything was a little bit odd. I think now we're getting to grips with the situation, with no fans and how everything's been, and getting back to knowing what it takes to win a game. We haven't always been at our best, but I think we're starting to get to a stage where, as a team, we know what we think we need to win games. I think the improvement from last season is, touch wood, we're seeing out games better. I think the Oldham game and the game on Tuesday, I thought we saw out the game better. Whether that's to do with not having any supporters, I don't know, because obviously there's no atmosphere, so it probably makes it a little bit easier.
In terms of seeing out those games, you've just mentioned something there that I wanted to talk to you about the differences between what you were doing quite a lot last year, that was drawing games and losing leads. But now when you get in leads, you're hanging on to them, particularly against Oldham. So has there been a bit of a not a philosophy change, but a bit of an improvement in the way that the players approach, say, the last half an hour, last 15 minutes of games as well, that you've seen?
Yeah, I don't think we've been hanging on either. I think we've carried on playing quite. I think football's probably improved, and we still had chances when we've been in the lead with sort of 15, 20 minutes to go. As I say, I don't know whether it's because there's no crowd in, it can't influence the game. That it's easier to do that, but it's nothing that we've changed. Maybe the lads are getting used to it. Being in front, and but you never know. It can quickly change, and we won't. One thing we don't do is get carried away, and we just got to keep working hard, and hopefully the results will keep coming.
One player I know that has particularly changed the way you played at Oldham was David Amu, and just having somebody there who's got a little bit of pace but a little bit of a trick in the side, from what we've seen over the last 18 months or so, is pretty integral to the way you want to play. So is having David back maybe a big part of that as well, because he does add that little bit of dynamism to the team that sometimes you may not have if he's not there?
Yeah, and I think against teams where, if they do sit back against us, you've got to have players who are capable of taking players on and getting them behind. Probably against Morecambe and Carlisle, we didn't have that. And that was one thing that let us down. You've got to be positive, and you've got to go and attack teams, whether it's running with the ball or passing and moving. And obviously David gives us that. And he also forces the opposition back because they're frightened of his pace and what he can do. Like against Cheltenham, I wouldn't say it was David's best game, but he still causes the opposition problems. So they're still aware of him. But no, he's vital to us. But also we're hoping that other players come through as well and do that for us.
One player in particular is Scott Burgess, who started the season for you, dropped out of the team a little bit, maybe because he'd not been doing as well as he'd done last year. But Oldham in particular, I thought that he seemed to be back to his best there. Has it been a matter of, kind of instilling a little bit of confidence in him that there is a player in there, and you sometimes need just to tease it out of him a little bit?
Yeah, again, players go through that. When I left him out of the team, he wasn't one at his best, but he's responded in the right way, and we all know when he's playing well, he adds that little bit extra to us as well, because he's closing down, he's running with the ball, his composure on the ball when he's at his best. It makes a big difference to us.
and he brings goals to the team as well. And I saw this little stat in the week that you've had 11 different goal scorers already, which, at this stage of the season is a little bit remarkable, but it does prove what you'd said in pre-season, that you wanted goals to come from all over the pitch and not just to rely on, say, one or two players to do that.
Yeah, it's important that with the way that we play, that with the movement, that we do get people in the box, and it doesn't matter who's in the box. Players are able to interchange, and so hopefully by doing that, you do get different people scoring. What's been pleasing the last couple of games, we've scored off corners as well. At the end of the season, they can be vital as well, free kicks and corners. So, but no, I would say it's, we aren't bothered who scores as long as we're scoring and we're creating chances. And I think this last 2 or 3 games, we've started to create more chances as well.
It's come from defenders as well, which is a good sign, whether it be from set pieces or what Mitch did at Oldham as well, is the fact that when you get your back four involved in the goals as well, it kind of, I suppose, gives them a lift, because they know they're not just there to be stoppers, and they're not just there to be players that have one job. They can get forward and get involved and join in as well, and that must do them as a unit some good as well.
Yeah, and it shows that we're getting them higher up the pitches. You want Mitch in the final third if you can. That means obviously we're doing well as a team. We know with Leon and Nathan, they can, their heading ability can cause teams problems, obviously, especially from corners. But Nathan against Oldham, he carried on his run and should have scored another. So it shows that, we're not a defensive team, even though we've got a good defensive record. We do give players license to play what they see.
Just wanted to mention Southend as well. I heard them described this week as the league's whipping boys, but I suppose you can't really look at them like that, even though they've not won yet.
No, and if you watch the videos of them, they play some good football. And the one thing that's been lacking for them is probably just in the final third. And, you always go into these games with trepidation because they haven't won. And they're probably due to get a win, due to have a little bit of luck. Just hope it's not against us.
When you do go into games like this, as you say, from a manager's point of view, do you sometimes go a little bit more, play a bit more scrutiny to little things that maybe the opposition are trying and now haven't come off, because there is that fear in the back of your mind that they are trying things, and in some ways, do you have to work extra hard because you don't want to be caught?
We treat it like all the other games. Obviously, we go in there confident, and we've got to express ourselves. That was one of the things against Cheltenham that I wasn't happy with first half. That you see the players in training, and they're getting the ball down and playing in tight areas, and we need to do that more. We need to have more confidence in their ability. We've got lads who are good on the ball. And sometimes when they get into games, you don't always see it. We always see the energy and the closing down and the commitment, but we just need to see a little bit more composure now. And hopefully we can start doing that a little bit more. But that's the main thing that we need to concentrate on.
And just one last thing, away from home, you've got a couple of wins now. You've looked like you're much more capable this year to be able to play away from home, and as you said earlier, see out games as well. Is that something, again, that you were conscious of, given last year you got some, your unbeaten home record, bar one, was exemplary, but this year, it is working on away results something that's perhaps a bit more uppermost in your mind?
We treat all the games the same, especially, as say, there's no away support now, so there's no great advantage other than knowing obviously the pitch, and you haven't got to travel. So that's had an effect. But I still think your home form, that's what wins your leagues. It's vital that we get 3 points when we're playing at home.
Scott, first of all, just tell us about the last few weeks. Obviously, you'd been left out of the team, but now you're back in, and it looks like you're back to perhaps where you were last season in terms of how you're playing and the chances you're creating, and also how involved you are with the rest of the team as well?
Yeah, I think it's been a good few weeks. Like you say, we've had a couple of wins as well, which is a good thing. It's been a bit of a frustrating start to the season, I think, for all of us. You know, we've had a couple of wins, a couple of defeats. We've been up and down, but I think the last few games we've started to find our form again that we got to last year. So it's good that we've got back to that. You know, hopefully that can continue and we can carry on picking up the results when we need. So yeah, it's been good.
For yourself personally, when you started the season in the team, were you at the level where you wanted to be, do you reckon? And I know because you then got left out. So did you feel at that stage there was perhaps more work for you to do?
Yeah, I think so. I think the whole COVID situation, I don't think anybody come back in a real vein of form. It's such a long time that we were out of playing or even training sort of thing. So I think everyone was a bit hesitant or a bit anxious about how it's going to start the season. I thought, with the games coming, I could maybe then kick on again. But I've found myself in and out of the team at the minute. But I've just got back to working on the pitch, in training, listening to what the gaffer said, working hard, and hopefully I can continue in the team now.
The manager's just talked about actually the amount of work that you've put in to get back in there, and I think he obviously is very appreciative of that. From your point of things, though, as a footballer, when you do get left out, what's your mindset then? Do you kind of think you can't afford to feel sorry for yourself, I suppose? So do you have to really just up your game to get back into where you want to be?
Yeah, definitely. It happens throughout your career at all stages. You're not going to play every single game. We've got a big squad here. We've got a lot of good players, so there will be times where I find myself out of the team, whether it's through injury, lack of form, things like that. So it's just about working hard in training to make sure that you're ready for when you get your chance again. And you've got to take your chance when you play because, like I say, the squad's so good. It's all about training hard, keeping the right mentality, and then getting your chance and taking it when you play.
In particularly the last couple of results of perhaps seeing the team getting back to maybe they were both at the very start of the season and also the back end of last year as well. Have you seen perhaps a change in training to see where things have not been stepped up, but that confidence, if you like, is back to perhaps the levels that it was of last year?
Yeah, I think so. I think off the back of a good result, you always have a bit more confidence. It's a bit of a buzz around the place. So to get back-to-back wins in such a short period of time, it gives the lads a massive lift. So, like you say, hopefully that can continue and we can go into tomorrow with full of confidence and try and get the win.
One thing that a lot of the players who play on that right-hand side in the same kind of area you are, and Mitch Clark and James Gibbons and David Worrell, David Amu have all said about how you link up with them as well. And that, if you like, kind of makes their life a lot easier with the work that you do. But at the same time, you become a little bit of a pretty integral cog in that machine, really, because your duty is to help the winger and the fullback link up. And that's a big part of how Vale play.
Yeah, I think, we work on that a lot, really. The triangles between the right back, the right winger, and that, that sort of advanced right side of midfielder. So rather than just getting it out wide and just crossing it like a hopeful ball in, we try and work it where we can. Obviously, when it's on to cross, we cross, but, we do work on them triangles to try and work it through and, play the passes rather than just lump it in the box. So, it's something that we do work on. It's not just, me stepping in doing it. If, say, Manny's playing there or Dan or Tom drifts over, it's something that we do work on and we do know that we need to get in there and help them out when they need it.
11 different scorers already for the club this season. You're not there, but you were last year. Getting goals, I imagine, is a big part of your game. Are you still, if you like, got a target in mind, or do you have anything in mind that you want to try and do for this year? I mean, I forget how many you got last year now, but I know you got some. So, is there a target in mind for you?
Yeah, I think the main target is just to build on last year. The more the better. It's good. There's been, like I say, 11 different scorers there. There's a lot of quality in the team, and it's needed to be scoring throughout the team. We can't just rely on one player or two strikers. We need to spread out the goals out throughout the team. So it's good that we're doing that. And hopefully I can get on the score sheet sooner rather than later, and then kick on again.
Going to Southend is, on paper, looks like one of your easier games, but I know in practice that's not true. But when you come up against a team that hasn't won, how do you approach that from a player's perspective? Are you expecting them to be quite aggressive and quite up for it because they're desperate for 3 points?
Yeah, definitely. There's no easy game in this league. We know that we've played a lot of tough games already.
And like you say, with how they're going at the minute, you know, they're definitely probably they're fighting for their lives already at the minute, it seems. There's been a lot of trouble off the pitch that we've seen, you know, in the news recently. But I think that just spurs them on even more. You know, they need to get wins, they need to get results. So I'm expecting a very tough game. So we've got to go in there with the same mentality we had at the last few games, you know, to play how we know we can. And hopefully then we can pick up the result.